You use the keyword const to declare a constant and set its values. A constant can be public or private. And here are some examples for declaring constants. In many cases, you may want to use the enumerations instead of constants. Enumerations make your code more readable. In order to declare an enumeration, you use the keyword enum and also the enumeration name. An enum can also be public or private. In this example, an enumeration, namely compounding frequency, is declared. Then you define constants in the enumeration. And later on, when you want to use the constants, you type in the name of the enumeration. After the dot, it shows you the list of all the constants. So it's much easier to remember this way. And that is the example for VBA. Another is the example for VB.NET. The difference is only at how the constants are added. So in VBA, when you add an item to a combo box, you use add item. But in VB.NET, you use the add method of the items property. You use types to define user defined data type containing one or more elements. The type statement is used at the module level and exists in VBA but not in VB.NET. So in this example, a user defined data type customer is declared with a number of elements in it. After declaring the customer type, later on you can declare a variable as that type. And after the variable name, when you type in a dot, you see a list of elements. Now check out this example and see how types works. VB.NET uses structures, very similar as types in VBA. However, like a class, a structure can have methods as its members. Classes contain class members such as class variables as well as other types of members. Let's check out first. Let's talk about property procedures. In VBA, you use the subproperty let and get for simple data types, and set and get for object data types. In VB.NET, you always use this property procedure, set and get. So please notice that I have some correction here. The name of the constructor in VBA is class initialize, and in VB.NET it is new. The name of the destructor in VBA is class terminate, and in VB.NET it is finalize. In this simple example with VBA, you declare a class, namely vehicle. In the class, you declare several module level private variables. You have private variables for vehicle year, make, and model. One is get and another is let. Get is to return the content of the private variable, and let is to assign a new value to the private variable. So you have a pair of get and let for each private variable. From outside, when you declare an object based on the vehicle class, you are not able to see the private variables. In order to work with the private variables, you have to use the get and let property procedures. In the constructor class initialize, you write code that you want to start when an object is declared based on this class. Similarly, later on, you declare another class, namely insurance plan. There are several private variables, namely one is for the policy holder name, another is for age, and another is for the vehicle. So similarly, for each private variable in the class, you also have a pair of get and let property procedures. The only difference is with the last private variable, which is based on the vehicle class. So here you use get and set. The function getInfo works as a method of the objects declared based on the insurance plan class. In the constructor class initialize, you start the private variables, initialize them. Obj vehicle is an object variable, so you create a new variable based on the vehicle class and set that object variable to it. And when the object is destroyed in the destructor, you set that object variable to nothing. And this is the sub procedure, namely main in a module, namely module 1. And here you declare an object variable and point it to a newly created object based on the insurance plan class. And then you assign the properties of the vehicle of the insurance plan object to corresponding strings, and also you assign the policy holder name property to a string, namely containing John Doe, and another which is age property to a string containing 27. And then you print to the debug window a string. This string is created by concatenating strings and the properties of the object. Basically, it says the holder is, and the name of the holder, and then the age, and then the vehicle make, model, and year. This is how the same vehicle class written in VB.NET, and you can see the property procedure, year, make, or model. Each has a pair of get and set in it. In VBA, when you want to create a read-only property, you will only include the property procedure get as shown in this example. And this is how you do it in VB.NET. Very similar, but you also have the read-only keyword. Overloading is the ability to create multiple methods of the same name with different implementations. In VBA, there is no overloading, but you can use the optional keyword to simulate. An example is shown here. So in the argument of the function, you have the optional keyword, and you use the is missing function to check if the argument is passed to the function or not. So this implementation allows you to have different number of arguments. It is clearer in VB.NET when you can declare the same function with a different number of arguments. Inheritance allows derived classes to inherit and extend the properties, methods, and events of the base class. And it allows the derived classes to override the inherited methods with new implementations. This is how you have inheritance in VB.NET. In the base class, namely asset, to return the variable as well as to set the variable, you have a function namely is usable. This function is overridable. With this keyword in the subclass, you can override this function. As you can see here, later on you have a class namely vehicle, and it is a derived class or subclass. Inherits assets, and it has a function is usable, which overrides the same function in the superclass or the base class.